Picture this. You're 14 years old. You're in a desolate part of town, and it's after midnight. You're about to walk the line, a brutal initiation ritual that buys you entry into the teenage underworld of South Florida street gangs. Hundreds of our teenagers from good families, as well as troubled families, have walked that line, served themselves up to rows of gang members who punch them and kick them and crush them in a savage rite of passage. I'm Evelyn Adelsohn. Tonight's program will, for many of you, be a rite of passage into a South Florida subculture that has its own language, its own laws, its own vicious punishments. Our crew has spent 3 months investigating these secret societies. The situation is complex and critical. And it's not news to a core group of professionals who have been trying desperately to warn us. Welcome to South Florida's teenage war zone. Not a place for tourists. Newsweek magazine has dubbed us a modern-day Casablanca. We like to think of ourselves as a sizzling international city, sparkling jewel on the southeast coast that spells future with a capital F. Even the Miami Vice version of our crime problems has a glitzy, glamorous appeal. But when you're talking about South Florida street gangs, the images change.
I don't need a job, he needs a year in the pen. It ain't just a question of misunderstood. Deep down inside him, he's no good. I'm no good.
It doesn't look like the sanitized Hollywood version of gangs. This isn't about a modern-day Romeo and Juliet playing out their fate as rival gangs fight over turf. This is about teenagers shooting other teenagers. This is about teenagers brutally stabbing a police officer. This is about teenagers who'd only leave home without a weapon. Their world is one of darkness, of places hidden beneath expressways. For these young people, we could be Chicago, New York, or Detroit. In fact, their defiant graffiti is making us look more like those cities all the time.
Graffiti is different from gangs. And I see articles that say gangs involving graffiti. And you can tell graffiti writing from a gang writing. There's graffiti crews and then there's gangs. When I started out, I was in a graffiti crew. And then I moved up to gangs.
In a sense, the two are related. They're both hieroglyphics of sorts, hard to understand for the casual observer.
Okay, this is the Latin force sign. The L and the F stand for the Latin force, and these are two fists. You know, one against the other. This is a pitchfork representing their nation. They're putting their nation up. Okay, this is a crown that represents the Latin king nation, and they're putting it down. This here, this K here means king killer. That means that the Latin force killed kings. That's like their war talk.
What's not hard to understand is that these young criminals communicating on our public walls is costing us close to $2 million a year.
These are not just a bunch of snotty-nosed kids running around talking about turf. You know, hey, I live on Calle Ocho, and you know, and you live in Kendall. You know, don't come in my neighborhood. It's more than that now. It's a lot more serious.
Joe knows what he's talking about. He's a former gang leader who has left the area, but continues to have close ties with Miami gangs. Local authorities have confirmed what he's told us.
They are people that I consider to be angry at the whole world. And being a gang leader, being a gang member, manipulating other kids is their way of getting back at society for dealing with other raw blows that they feel that it is, that their life isn't complete.
What do you get out of fighting?
Nah, I don't get that much out of. Well, sometimes, you know, you take out your frustrations, you know, you're in a bad mood or something. You have problems in your house, you know, and you just let it all out, you know, your anger on somebody else.
You know, I fought 2 of them personally, and, you know, to me, they were punks. I've been through hell and back. Why not?
If somebody's going to end up getting hurt. I believe that violence is going to escalate, that the weapons that were seen on TV a couple of weeks ago is just like touching the tip of the iceberg.
You got an Uzi here, Mac 9 with a 30-round clip, 45, 9mm, 25 automatics, very popular with the street gang.
This arsenal of weapons was found on January 5th. It belonged to the 34th Street Players and the 34th Street Boys. Also found were 20 18-inch PVC pipes. Originally believed to be pipe bombs, they were in fact filled with cocaine. The drugs and weapons go hand in hand.
Okay, the weapons and all of that. It's a kid named Pee-wee. Okay, that's one of the 34th Street boys. He bought these weapons from a drug dealer. Okay, he crossed the drug dealer. I think he took some of his money or some of his drugs or something. And so the drug dealer called the police on him. Or either called his mom and told him, hey, he had these guns there. And then she in turn called the police. But I mean, you know, that's what kind of stuff is going down. I understand that there are certain elements of people in Overtown that are supplying gang members with any kind of weapons that they need, especially Uzis.
Most gang members will tell you that they only have guns for protection, but it's obvious someone's shooting first.
Nobody dies from a fight. They slapped me in the eye with a gun. You know, they slapped my other partner. They cracked one nose, okay, and then they commenced firing. I don't know. I freaked out.
Generally, after something like that happens, everybody goes underground until things cool off. And while they're underground, they're not sitting around slapping each other on the knee and telling jokes. What they're doing is preparing themselves for even something bigger than what we saw before.
This is a war. One death of somebody. This is going to stop this whole thing. Either our side or their side, but that's the way this thing is going to end.
The gang unit of the City of Miami Police Department does not take threats of gang violence lightly. They know that there are at least 60 gangs in Dade County with anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 members. They did a sample review of just 100 of these members and found that they had 662 charges between them, including 45 charges of grand theft, 39 car thefts, and 40 armed robberies. One member of the sample group was charged with 36 counts of sexual battery.
A gang really is the best opportunity that we have to reach juvenile delinquents. It's the best opportunity because now they have formed together and they say, look, we're here and we're ready to do all the worst things that you can imagine. What are you going to do about it? I mean, there's a challenge right there.
Shatters the quiet of yet another South Florida neighborhood. A teenager is being robbed and shot at.
Do you know this guy? You know this guy? The guy who shot. Oh, that was he's a big guy. You've seen him before. Yeah. What I want to know is this the guy that took the... That's the guy who took the...
The gang situation is something that all parents should give a real hard look at and come to grips with, because even though their child is not a gang member per se, not meaning that their kid will necessarily join a gang, but it appears that most of the time the innocent kids that are not involved in any type of activity of this nature are the ones that are always hurt by accident or something happens to them.
Sadly, statistics back up Joe's observation. Teenagers are victims of violent crimes twice as often as adults and 10 times as often as the elderly. Additionally, because of the spontaneous and volatile nature of gang violence, even a well-chaperoned party may not prevent your teenager from becoming a statistic if gang members are present. This started as a joyous holiday gathering of adults and teenagers alike. It ended with a gang-related stabbing of a teenage boy. The victim refused to name names, so while no arrests were made, a list of possible suspects is being pursued. One of them is Psycho, a 56th Avenue bad boy who has a twisted sense of fair fighting. Why do they call you Psycho?
A long time ago when I used to go to school, I used to go to opportunity school, I had a fight. You know, I had to hit him with a pool stick, you know. I had put 2 to the hospital and about 3 hurt, you know. You know, so that day they had been calling me Psycho. The only thing I don't like these gangs be coming out shooting people. You know, we're not like that. You know, we don't think that's not being a man. That means if you're going to shoot, you got to be scared. You know, Land Force the other day came down there to our neighborhood shooting some people I know.
Psycho is referring to the November 3rd incident where a 16-year-old boy was shot down in front of Kinloch Junior High, startling many parents who feel that this gang warfare is hitting too close to home.
I feel that the gang problem is one that is in the community and spills over into the schools. There's a lot of fear and anxiety for those students that are not even part of it at all.
If this will happen again, I mean, they may miss somebody, a shot or something. You never know if it may hit me or one of my friends or anything. So yeah, I'm a little scared.
They're always talking about fights. There are fights all over now, shopping centers, schools, and I'm afraid to even let them go out of the house anymore.
Gang violence is breaking out everywhere, especially anywhere rival gang members go to have a good time or just hang out.
When I was a gang member here, we used to meet in the Grove sometime. Our gang members, and then of course rival gang members come because it's a neutral turf, and so that can create a lot of problems there. That would be an explosive area.
October 16th started out as a typical Friday night here at the Bakery Center. Lots of family and friends gathered here to enjoy a good movie. That night, Officer Dan Schultz arrived for work wearing a bulletproof vest. But later that night, South Miami Police Officer Dan Schultz was brutally stabbed 4 times by gang members. Before he died, Officer Schultz told his partner that when one of the gang members went to stab him in the back and found that the knife would not penetrate the vest, he searched until he found the area underneath Schultz's arm where he was not protected.
Of course, it's factual that Officer Schultz was stabbed. It's factual that he was attacked by a total of 5 juveniles. It's factual that 5 arrests were effected. It's a fact that all those arrested have been set for trial. And, of course, with the events that have occurred just recently and the tragic death of Officer Schultz, all being a complicated case from the word start, it's even more complicated at this time, and I just will not in any way jeopardize anything that has to do with that case.
Has any information come into your office that the gang members or friends of some of the young people that were involved in that stabbing are now viewing the kids involved in it as heroes?
There has been information passed on to me. Exactly that, yes.
For gang members, violence is not only an expression of rage or hate. Violence is used to support the very inner structure of the gang itself. Barbara Wade of the City of Miami Police Department explains.
Here are kids who came out of families who went into a substitute family that is so strict and is so harsh and does not tolerate very much deviation. The rules are much tougher than society's rules, which tells you something that kids want a sense of direction. They need nurturing. They need to belong to something. They're able to set up rules and regulations that you and I could not even abide by.
The most violent gangs in Miami are the Latin Force, Latin Disciples, Simon City Royals, 34th Street Players, 34th Street Boys, Latin Kings.
The Latin Kings were started by this man, Alejandro Aguilar. They call him Chino. The tattoos represent a lifetime loyalty to his gang that started when he was a young boy in Chicago. His motto, once a king, always a king. Marisol, a longtime friend of his, told us that he came here from Chicago specifically to start a gang. He brought with him a copy of the Latin King Bible. It is an elaborate formula for structuring the gang and keeping the members in line through violence.
Other members of the gang seen the Bible or nothing. Just the main ones, like all of the 5 of them, the 5 leaders. If you're really in that gang, you always be a gang member to that gang. You always be one. It's like a big family. That's what they call it.
But sometimes they hurt each other in the same gang.
Yeah, because you got to respect one another. If you don't respect it, then you got to get a punishment for that.
Another gang that uses violence to keep members in line is the Latin Force. Do you guys use hand signals to communicate on the street?
Yeah.
What for? To identify the fact that you're forced?
Yeah.
What would you do if you caught somebody who wasn't forced using a hand signal?
He don't get violated.
Who decides what the violation is?
Me.
What are the violations usually?
The violation. You get 20 minutes kicking me on the face.
Is that funny?
No.
Why are you laughing?
What am I laughing? Because it is funny.
This is one of the locations where violations are carried out. Once a show place, this abandoned home off of Northwest 17th Avenue burned down, leaving only these desolate coral caves behind. There are stories of young people having their arms broken here or simply taking one serious punch to the face. We asked why a young person would agree to come down here to accept such a punishment. The answer was, the punishment is only more severe if the gang members have to come looking for you. What was your test like? What did you have to do?
Tell my man what you had to do.
Go through a red light in a stolen car.
How many miles an hour?
80.
Were you scared?
Nope.
What do you have to do to get into the force?
Oh, first you gotta prove yourself to the gang. Then, see, you gotta walk the line.
Normally, you have people on the left and you have people on the right. And you walk down the middle. And what they do is they punch, kick, and hit you with sticks, with brass knuckles, whatever they have available. And if you are able to survive by the time you get into the line, either you're officially in the gang if you're joining, or either you're officially out if you're trying to get out.
YLO.
What does YLO stand for?
Young Latin Organization.
So were you an offshoot from a gang in New York?
Well, one of the leaders from New York came down here and started it down here, so then it makes it bigger, you know, get across the United States.
How many members do you have?
All right, anywhere from 250 to 350.
Here?
Yeah, here in my 6th chapter.
Have you ever met any YLO members from other cities?
Yeah, met a Fort Lauderdale and in Daytona. We got some boys up there.
There are gangs in Broward?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, the people in Broward don't believe there are gangs in Broward.
No, but they don't know that, but there is.
Did you have to do anything to get in?
Yeah, I stuck some guy in the grill.
What does stuck mean?
Hit, punch. He's a guy with a knife, man, you know, jab him in the back, whatever. Things like that.
Did you know who he was?
No, not exactly.
Does it hurt you to hurt other people?
No. No, man.
If you have to, you know. You gotta show somebody.
They put my nation down, I'm gonna kill them.
Would you really kill somebody?
Yep. I tried my hardest too.
Is there a lot of crime around the gang?
Yep.
What kind of crime?
All kinds of drug crimes, auto theft, you know, everything. Every kind of crime you can
it's
think
the
of.
individual, really. You know what I mean? If somebody wants to do something, you know, get money for the gang members, more money for them.
How do you get out of YLO?
You don't.
You don't. You get out, you get killed.
You once a YLO, you always a YLO. The only way to get out is you die.
Each and every day we live through violence in a different way. The street is a board game where we must play, and love for our nation will always stay. To further our cause, we always try. That's why disciples will never die.
There's a lot of violence in that prayer.
Yeah.
Doesn't that bother you?
No. It's just the truth.
It didn't bother you?
Not at all.
Isn't that why you got out of the gang? Why did you get out of the gang?
Yeah, because it's too much trouble.
But we used to not think like that.
So a female gang sort of revolves around the guy.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Sort of accessories to whatever they're doing.
Like to protect them. Like a disciple would steal a car, we would end up with a stolen car and we would drive it around and stuff. We would carry like their stuff, like their guns and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
we'd have to take this, you know, we'd have to sacrifice ourselves for them.
Because the cop would never suspect the girl, you know.
What would the guys do for you?
Anything we told them. When we needed them, they were always there.
You told them to steal something? Would they steal something? Is there compassion if you break the rules?
No. You get violated just like the guys.
Do you think that there are a lot of gang members that want to get out of gangs?
Yeah. Yeah. But they're all scared.
They're scared of what?
Scared of losing that bond, that closeness with people.
The violence. But the majority of gang members are first and foremost teenagers, Reeboks and all. It's not that easy to tell the difference. Detective Keith Green, a gang specialist with the Metro Dade Police Department, believes that identification begins at home.
I would say, you know, if the kid's not doing well in school and staying out very late at night, if he has a real strong sense of loyalty to his friends, if he seems to have only a small group of friends, if he's, going out at night and he wants to put a baseball bat in his car, or he's, you see him writing graffiti on his notebook pads, things like that would be something that you'd want to look for. And if you would find those things, I think you should be concerned for your child.
Donald Smythe's family did see it, and they were concerned.
His mother is a lone parent. She's very concerned, very involved, but Donald's 15 years old. Donald's got a man's built on him. Donald basically does what he wants to do.
What Donald used to want to do is to be a member of one of the most violent gangs in Miami.
I was getting into a lot of trouble.
Getting arrested?
Yep.
For what?
Graffiti, fighting, assault and battery, yeah, fighting.
He was recruited when he was only in the 7th grade because of his size and willingness to fight. Luckily, Donald was recruited again, this time by a caring adult who taught Donald to use his muscle on the mat.
He's brought that street anger onto the mat with him in a controlled way. He's now the kind of kid that wants to go out on the mat and rip your head off instead of the kind of kid that wants to take a baseball bat and knock your head off.
I used to have a lot of problems with Donald. He had a lot of problems in school. He's miraculous. It's just, I can't believe the change in him.
Donald's good at heart. Donald yearns for friendship, yearns for something to attach himself to. I'm more like a father image to him. I've tried to help him out. I pick him up and take him to school. If I coach a football game, I take him with me. If I go to a high school basketball game, I'll take Donald with me. Sometimes I play and joke around with him, and sometimes crosses the line. And I have to tighten up on him again and bring him back over. And in 4 years, Donald, instead of hanging out on the street corner, mugging people, selling crack, Donald will be on a wrestling match somewhere, hopefully in college, wrestling somebody. If that's the one move that makes my entire coaching career, you know, that's what I've been brought here to do for one kid, and I benefit out of one kid from it, and that's what I'm here for.
There are other people like Coach Pellegri. There's Raul Martinez on Miami Beach with Espita. He's helped 28 of these gang members turn it around, away from violence and into productive jobs. There's Roger Hamburg at the Community Relations Board, Barbara Wade at the City of Miami Police Department, and Rico Robinson at Miami-Jackson High, who runs a gym for these kids in his spare time. And there are others. But one handful or two handfuls of these people is not enough to help those gang members who secretly want to be helped.
These are long-range projects. These kids, to 16 years, have become what they are. That's pretty bad piece of merchandise. You can't correct it by merely putting a kid in the program. You have to keep working.
Judge Seymour Gelber has seen it all during his 13 years on the bench in juvenile court. When Gelber talks about gangs in Miami, he is talking about a subject he's been concerned about for years. In fact, he co-wrote this letter with State Attorney Janet Reno to then County Manager Merritt Sterheim. It is dated January 30th, 1984. It outlines their concern about the development of gangs in Dade County. In it, they urge, if we do something now, we think we can prevent significant development of these gangs. That letter began a stream of paperwork warning South Florida officials of the growing gang problem. Also in 1984, the Community Relations Board puts out the first comprehensive report on street gangs in Miami, followed by an issue paper on the same subject by the Criminal Justice Council, and yet again, another report in 1985 by the grand jury.
Many officials in high places shrugged their shoulders and dismissed the idea that there was a gang problem here. And because of that, the gangs were able to grow and to flourish.
And I've been talking about that for 3 years now. And the only people who are seriously involved are our police. It is really not a police problem. It's a social response to gangs. But so far, only the police have been responding, and admirable as has been their effort, it's just not enough.
At the heart of this proactive police effort is the multi-agency gang task force.
Multi-agency gang task force is kind of the nucleus of the whole thrust for the county program, and that we're the people who react initially on the streets with the kids. If I were going to run a unit, my own personal unit, I would like to have ex-gang members in it because of the spontaneity that's there, the trust factor that's already there.
The people at Crisis Intervention Network in Philadelphia agree. Once called the gang capital of the U.S., they use ex-gang members as the heart of a comprehensive citywide program which has proven over time to be the most successful program in the country.
We're almost losing a kid a week as a result of gang violence in the city of Philadelphia prior to Crisis Intervention Network. Fortunately, we've cut that in more than half. We've cut it by 80%, frankly. But there's always a potential of a reemergence of the gang problem. The key is getting on top of things early on.
The Community Relations Board has a proposal pending before the Florida State Legislature, which is modeled after Crisis Intervention Network.
We are somewhat still into the institution of denial, and it may be with individuals, and there are reasons for it. This is a tourist town. My thing to you is that, what would you rather have? Would you rather live in a city that knows it has a problem and is attempting to deal with it, or live in a city that knows it has a problem and does nothing about it?
Documentaries show you the problem and then they walk away. We at WCIX problem deserves more of our attention. So we have contacted many of the key decision makers in South Florida, and we invited them to tune in and see the problem as you have seen it tonight. We also told them that we will be back in their offices to check on the progress of this situation. At that point, we will bring you a follow-up. I'm Evelyn Adelsohn. For all of us here at WCIX, good night.